I would like to thank the elders for the opportunity to speak to you tonight, and I'd like to thank you for being here. Tonight, I'm going to talk about something that was briefly discussed in a Bible class this past summer at Little Blue Bible Camp. And the person who brought it up was Ethan Scholl. So this topic was touched on for about 5 to 10 minutes in a broader lesson, but it really stuck with me as we continue to talk about it. And if I had to put a title on this lesson, it would be Doing Good. So the text for tonight will be Galatians 6, verse 10. Galatians 6:10, if you would turn there. Galatians 6:10 says, "As we have therefore opportunity, let us do good unto all men, especially unto them who are of the household of faith." So when I read this verse, I think of two major points in it. And the first one is that we have to do good unto all men. And the second one is that it's especially unto them who are of the household of faith. So starting with the beginning, we have to remember to do good unto all men. And this is where my lesson overlaps with the point that Ethan brought up. So the example he gave us was some men who did good in Matthew 2, starting in verse 1. If you would turn there. Matthew 2, 1. It says, "And again he entered into Capernaum after some days, and it was noised that he was in the house. And straightway many were gathered together, insomuch that there was no room to receive them, no, not so much as about the door. And he preached the word unto them, and they come unto him, bringing one sick of the palsy, which was borne of 4. And when they could not come nigh unto him for the press, they uncovered the roof where he was, and when they had broken it up, they let down the bed wherein the sick of the palsy lay. When Jesus saw their faith, he said unto the sick of the palsy, Son, thy sins be forgiven thee." So these men came into a building where Jesus was preaching, and they couldn't even get inside, let alone get to Jesus. But they had someone who needed their help, and they knew that Jesus could heal him. So we don't know anything about these men. We don't know if they were friends. We don't know if they had ever even met the man who had palsy. But the important thing is that they saw someone in need, and they worked to help him. But we never see these men again, and they aren't specifically referred to after this passage. And another thing about these men is that we never know if they were actually thanked. We see that Jesus saw their faith, but these men were never openly recognized for their deeds. Later, we see the man take up his bed and walk, but he never returns to thank these men who helped change his life. And sometimes, good deeds will go unnoticed on this earth. And that's okay, because our reward isn't earthly praise. That's not what we're striving for. The reward we want is in heaven. Galatians 6:10 isn't about doing good unto all men so that we can get earthly praise or earthly thanks. It's about something we must do to get to heaven. But not only do we have to do good to those who we don't know, but also those who we know and are our enemies. If you would turn to Matthew 5, verse 43. Matthew 5:43. Matthew 5:43 says, "Ye have heard that it hath been said, Thou shalt love thy neighbor and hate thine enemy. But I say unto you, love your enemies, bless them that curse you, do good to them that hate you, and pray for them which despitefully use you and persecute you." So we have to do good unto those people who will not necessarily do good unto us. And that is so much harder than doing good to those that we don't know or doing good to others in the church. And that brings us to my second point. We must do good unto all men, especially those of the household of faith. You would turn to Galatians 6:2. Galatians 6:2. Galatians 6:2 says, "Bear ye one another's burdens, and so fulfill the law of Christ." This verse is referring to when we see someone else in the church dealing with something difficult, and we have to help them. And one of the best ways I can think of that we can help them is by praying for them. As said in James 5:17, if you would turn there. James 5:17. Actually, sorry, that's James 5:16. James 5:16 says, Confess your faults one to another, and pray one for another, that ye may be healed. The effectual fervent prayer of a righteous man availeth much. So, when we go to help those in the church, we have to remember how important prayer can be and should be. So if we want to help someone, what better way to do good unto them than praying for them? So, as we examine this tonight, if we haven't done good unto all men, or if we haven't followed God's plan of salvation, or if we have any needs at this time, please come forward as we stand and sing.